What Were You Wearing is an art exhibit created by Jen Brockman and Dr. Mary A. Wyatt-Hibert. It was shown on March 31st, 2014. This exhibit was inspired by a poem with the same title written by Dr. Mary Simmerling. The exhibit featured outfits victims of sexual assault wore when they were assaulted. This exhibit is very important to me as it came out at a time when I was being ongoingly sexually abused. Seeing rape and rape culture through the lens of other people's experiences had a lifelong impact upon me. Rape culture was extremely prevalent in the year leading up to the exhibit. In 2013, there was the Steubenville case where 2 juvenile football players were convicted of rape. Pictures of the girl's naked, unconscious body were passed around to over 60 students, according to the New York Times. The reaction from people on social media sites were supporting the boys and talking about how it ruined their life. CNN coverage did not mention the effect on the victim and instead focused on pitying the boys, with reporters such as Poppy Harlow stating, "Incredibly difficult to watch these 2 young men who had such promising futures, star football players, very good students, literally watched as they believed their life fell apart." People then took to Twitter to give statements pertaining to rape culture, such as user Romano Santino saying, "So you got drunk at a party and 2 people took advantage of you. That's not rape, you're just a loose drunk slut." And Michael Crook saying, "There's no justice in Steubenville today. The girl asked for it and wanted it. In my opinion, they gave it to her. No crime, appeal." According to the National Crime Victimization Survey, in America during the year 2005, there was 190,600 reported rapes and sexual assaults, whereas in 2007, the same survey showed that there was 248,300 sexual assaults. That is a 25% increase in reported incidents of rape. The exhibition was created by Jen Brockman, who is the director of KU's Sexual Assault Prevention and Education Center, and Dr. Mary A. Wyatt-Hibert, who oversees all programming initiatives at the University of Arkansas's Rape Education Center. Jen Brockman joined the University of Kansas community in the spring of 2016 as the director of the newly formed Sexual Assault Prevention and Education Center. She's worked since 2001 in victims advocacy and prevention in 3 different states at community programs, flagship institutes, and state coalitions. She received a Bachelor of Arts in 2003 from Drury University in Criminology and Sociology, and a Master of Arts in Organizational Leadership in 2009 from Gonzaga University. Jen Brockman's goal is to inform others on victim blaming and rape culture. The purpose of this exhibit is to show that the phrase, "What were you wearing?" is not only taking a blame away from the perpetrator of abuse and contributing to rape culture, but also it's an invalid question. Jen said in an interview with the HuffPost that the aim of the exhibit was to hopefully reveal the myth that if we just avoid that outfit, then we'll never be harmed, or that somehow we can eliminate sexual violence by simply changing our clothes. Jen intends to persuade the audience to see victim blaming is wrong and put yourself in the victim's shoes. The exhibit features clothing that is varied and that most of us have worn at one point or another. It helps us reflect upon our own wardrobe and that sexual abuse can happen to anyone. The exhibit is highly effective at achieving its purpose because it exposed the flaws in the question of what was she wearing, and in doing so brought light to the fallacy at the root of the question. The assumption of she was promiscuous so she brought it on herself or deserved it is not correct. If a woman dressed in clothes considered promiscuous, which vary depending on society, her clothing does not dictate her consent. A skirt or a crop top are not an invitation for rape, and neither are pajamas, a baby's onesie, sweatpants, or sweaters. Showing outfits such as children's clothing dismantles the idea of what a rape victim is and elicits a deep emotional response. It also helped dismantle beliefs on victim blaming in general, as one of the installations read, "Army ACUs and I was carrying a gun, so much for that preventing anything." It was also effective as not only did it make headlines, but it also inspired a wave of similar exhibits across universities in America. This artwork is considered valuable because it teaches us truths about social function and culture. This piece teaches us about rape culture and its effects upon victims of sexual assault. It gives the viewers the ability to put themselves in the experience of each of the victims without having to go through the trauma. It also shows the societal views placed upon victims and how the objectification plays a role in rape culture. It shows the human experience of shame and being disbelieved on a large scale. This piece made interacting with rape culture very personal, as it displayed a variety of clothes that we have all worn at one point or another. This exhibit is also valuable because it has the capacity to convey values and beliefs that are central to modern Western culture. The belief in autonomy over one's own body and justice are beliefs that are central to modern feminist movements such as the Slut Walk and the Me Too movement. The artist, Jen Brockman, is the director of KU's Sexual Assault Prevention and Education Center. She also works specifically in victim advocacy. The belief in standing up against victim blaming is rooted in her core values. Her exhibition displays her victim advocacy very vividly. This exhibit also has the ability to bring about social change, as this exhibit has inspired many other exhibits all across America to shine light upon victim blaming. Due to this, people are able to see victims of sexual assault in a clear and empathetic light, which changes the way people think about victims. Although this exhibit hasn't put laws into place and rape culture is still very prevalent, it was still successful in being able to change other viewpoints, which brings us closer to dismantling rape culture as a whole. Lastly, this piece is valuable because it has the ability to produce emotion within the viewer. The emotion felt when viewing this art piece are uncomfortable to feel during everyday life. This art piece produces sadness, hurt, helplessness, and even anger. When looking at all the stories of abuse, you start to feel bad for them. When viewing the little girl's sundress, it makes the viewer wish to cry. The viewer is unable to take back the event or interfere, rendering them helpless. Lastly, seeing the way victims are treated and seeing how much it impacted their lives makes the viewer angry at both the perpetrators and the culture that surrounds it. These feelings are often unwanted in everyday life, but within the confines of the exhibit, it elicits a sense of understanding and recognition of pain.